I started on bass when I was 7 or 8. On bass when I was really young. Huh? I don't know why you do a lot of things.
That was a few minutes ago, right? All right, y'all, welcome to Spore officially. Let's stand and let's sing to our Heavenly Father tonight. When all I see is the battle, you see my victory. For Jesus, there's nothing impossible for you. And as I walk through the shadow, your love surrounds me. There's nothing to fear now, for I am safe with you. Just our voices, y'all. So when I fight, I'll fight on my knees with my hands lifted high. Oh God, the battle belongs to you, and every fear I lay at your feet. I'll sing through the night. Oh God, the battle belongs to you. And as I walk through the shadow, your love surrounds me. For Jesus, there's nothing impossible for you. When all I see are the ashes, you see the beauty. Thank you, God. When all I see is a cross, God, you see an empty tomb. So when I fight on my knees with my hands lifted high. Oh God, the battle belongs to you, and every fear I lay at your feet. I'll sing through the night. Oh God, the battle belongs to you. An almighty fortress You go before us. Nothing can stand against the power of our God. You shine in the shadows. You win every battle. Nothing can stand against the power of our God. An almighty fortress. You go before us. Nothing can stand against the power of our God. You shine in the shadows. You win every battle. Nothing can stand against the power of our God. So when I fight on my knees with my hands lifted high, oh God, the battle belongs to you, and every fear I lay at your feet. I'll sing through the night. Oh God, the battle belongs to you. Oh God, the battle belongs to you.
All right. Well, that was great, wasn't it? Welcome to SPORE, Spiritual Principles of Recovery. And let's go ahead and open it up the way we always do. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Well, hope everyone's having a great night tonight. I know that, what a beautiful day, you know, and so I had to get into some deep meditation this morning on two wheels and a windshield in front of me. I'll just put it that way. It was great, and I enjoyed every moment of it. So tonight we're going to talk about something that I say a lot, and it comes down to this. What's your plan? Are you planning to succeed, or are you going to make a decision to fail? Because it really is one or the other. So tonight we're going to be looking at what the difference is in those two. There's more to it than just making a decision. And so, at any rate, there's more to it than just saying, hey, am I going to just make a decision to have a plan? Or what does it really mean when it says or decide to fail? So when I was growing up, if I wanted to go do something, or especially borrow money or anything like that, my mother would always ask me the same thing. She would say, what's your plan? And, you know, and I had to know what that plan was. In other words, how many times have we decided we wanted to do something, but we weren't really prepared on the back end of it? Y'all know what I mean? It's like, man, if you can loan me some money, I swear I'll pay you back. How? What's your plan in that? And so a lot of times I know that I'll have sponsees who are like, you know, I think I'm going to I just can't take it anymore. I think I'm going to leave. What's the first question you think I ask? What's your plan? Right? Because one of the things that's so interesting is the word says that my people perish for what? For lack of vision. What is vision? Vision is a plan. And so we don't think it's that big a deal, but yet we find ourselves failing because we don't have that plan. Man, I can remember sitting there thinking, I'm going to save some money. Good plan. How? Well, I'm getting a little bonus. I go put it away. And I kid you not, I know it's hard to believe, but my doggone car would break down. But you see, I never had a plan on what was I going to do if that happened. So I go, well, there goes my money, right? That's not the plan. Plan should have been, hey, you know what? Maybe I should set aside a little bit of money every week to take care of emergencies and put some other way so I can save some money, right? And it's not all about money. It's just that's the easiest one to talk about. So one of the things that I've learned over the years is when I choose to make a plan, then I have to kind of stick with it. Unless what happens? Unless God makes a difference in that. So if you don't have a plan, my dad used to always say, this is true, when I went into business, I remember thinking, what's the best piece of advice he could give me? And his thing was always know your numbers. Son, always know your numbers. He said, you can't fly an airplane without instruments. And it's the same way. You can't have a plan. You can't succeed in life unless you got a plan. I don't want to just let life dictate to me, and we'll get into that. But one of the worst things you can do is say this, and how many times? Well, what's your plan? And I've heard this one, and I kind of, I don't know, shudder when I hear it. And it's, I don't care. Doesn't, I don't care. And see, the problem with that is what you're really saying is you're actually saying, I just give up. I don't care. I give up. And you know what that really comes from? It usually comes from fear. You're so afraid of what may happen that you're just going to accept it any way it comes. Well, that's just life, right? Can't make any difference about it. Or how about this one? Wow, I didn't see that one coming, right? Whatever it may be. That's because you weren't looking for it. And maybe it'll work out or maybe it won't. Anybody ever said that? Or let me give you the recovery version of that, which y'all know just I can't stand. Everything happens just like it's supposed to. That's the stupidest statement I've ever heard. Oh my God, you know my feeling. Let's all go get a keg right now because we can't help it. It just happened that way. We'll tell Kirk that. It just happened that way. I don't know. Everything works out just like it's supposed to. But here's the thing. The Bible actually talks about that, about just kind of giving up, not caring, whatever. That's James 1:8. And it's so interesting. It says what? Their loyalty is divided between God and the world. They are unstable in everything they do. And what is that called? That's actually, it's like I don't care, right? It's going back to I don't care. And I thought about it, and I know whatever, my brain goes kind of weird sometimes, but I was thinking about a song that Rush does, right? Free Will. And I love there's one line in that always kind of, it's, what is it? If you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice. You see, and that's true. That's part of being a double-minded man, right? If you don't make a choice, then what you're choosing is to lay down and let life run over you, and it will. See, what you really become is what? Just like what that was talking about. A double-minded man without a plan. It's nothing worse. And what does it talk about a double-minded man in James? It says he'll be what? Going back and forth, back and forth. And I often think about this. I used to like to dive, but I never liked to do shallow diving. Because when you're doing shallow diving, what happens is you start moving with the current. And the next thing you know, you're getting kind of tossed lightly to and fro until what? Toss you, you're like, ooh, I don't feel good. You get seasick. And that's what happens when life, literally, you're going, I'm just going with the flow, man, however that is. And I think about it, I got a son who likes to, he's gotten better about it, but he used to like to just go with the flow. And the problem is, the flow will take you downstream in places you don't want to end up. Anybody ever been somewhere? I don't know, maybe the trap, the dope house, somewhere where you sat there and you thought to yourself, how did I get here? I bet I'm not the only one that ever thought that. How did I get here? Or in a relationship that's kind of like you're like, probably not the best one for me, but hey, it'll be fun until it's not. Yeah, and then what do you ask yourself? How did I get here? Yeah. And so those are the things that I always look at, and I think to myself, what can I do? Well, make a decision. That's what you can do. So let me explain to you why you don't want to do that, why you don't want to just let life dictate to you. The choice you just made is when you let life dictate to you is that I'm willing to go anywhere it takes me. And the problem with that is life is not nice. You don't want to let life control your destiny because life is cruel. And that's no surprise. Why? Because look at who owns the earth. It's not that life is so bad. It's the person that has dominion over the earth, which is who? It's the enemy, right? So no wonder we end up in places like that. So if what you're willing to do is say, you know what? I'm going to let life control me by what? Circumstances. Oh, that's the worst place to be, is all of a sudden life changes because circumstances change. And the problem with that is every time we do that, you get stuck. You just seem to stop. Anybody been through that? Where it's like, well, I can't go any farther. I can't make this change. Okay. So here's the thing. If you have a plan, you don't have to worry about that. Why? Because what you'll do is you'll push right through it. No matter what, you will keep going back to the plan. This is the plan that I have, that I'm not willing to let it go. And I don't care what circumstances come up, I'm willing to go straight through it. Because here's the problem. Before we got in recovery, what did we always try to do? Find a way over it, find a way under it, find a way around it, right? Everything but what? Go right through it. You know, and I think back, and I know it's kind of weird, but I think back when the Israelites were running from Egypt, right? And I know you think that I was there, but I wasn't. But here they are. They come up to a no pass, can't go any farther situation. And Moses, who's the one that has the plan, does what? I got a plan. We're going to go straight through there. And all of a sudden, God rolls that water back, and they keep going through. And here's the most interesting thing. What happened when they got through? The Egyptians go, that's cool. We're going right there with them. And God took them out. See, if we stick to the plan, especially the one that God has given us, he'll take care of the enemy. We don't have to worry about that. What you tend to find is that circumstances become speed bumps, not roadblocks or detours, right? And I think about how many times that I just existed, just went along with life, and what ended up happening was I had some major detours in my life, right? And the way that those major detours ended in my life was, well, was divorce papers in one situation. I should have never got married in that situation. It wasn't good for either one of us. But the other detour is that I ended up trying to always find geographical cures. See, I got this little problem. It's called, when it gets really tight, I have a tendency to want to fight and then run. And when I run, I cut everybody off. And I just go. And the problem with that is that you start learning about these things called geographical cures. They're not a plan. I got diverted for 5 years of my life in Mobile, Alabama, and New Orleans. Never should have been there. And literally it was like I lost time in my life I'll never get back. And not only that, I got off purpose. I found myself in places I shouldn't have been in. I found myself in businesses I shouldn't have been in. I found myself living a life anything but like what God wanted me to live. See, that's the problem with detours. It doesn't just take you away from life. It takes you away from relationship with God himself. Now, here's the beauty of it. It also has a tendency to drive you right back. Because when life gets bad enough, all of a sudden your plan becomes real easy, right? Hey, Papa, I'm all yours. All yours. Because my way isn't working anymore. So can you have a bad plan? Sure you can. James 4:13 through 17 tells us that. And it says, look here, you who say, today or tomorrow we're going to a certain town and we'll stay there a year. Okay, done that one. We will do business there and make a profit. Every business I've been in, I couldn't guarantee I was going to make a profit. Go ahead. All right, how do you know your life will be what it'll be like tomorrow? Your life is like the morning fog. It's here a little while and then it's gone. What you ought to say is, if the Lord wants us to, we will live and do this or that. Otherwise, you're boasting about your own pretentious plans, and all such boasting is evil. Remember, it is a sin to know what you ought to do and then not do it. And I'm sitting there as I'm reading that today, and I'm looking around, and I'm sitting there going, how many times have we made plans strictly with self-centered thinking? What got you to recovery? For me, it was my own self-centered thinking, right? It was about step one. My life was totally screwed up because of what I was planning. You see, a self-centered plan is full of pride and is always boastful. Well, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make $1 million. If you have 4 friends that have 4 friends who have 4 friends, you'll make $1 million. How many times I've heard that one? A self-centered plan isn't just full of boastfulness, but it's a critical pride. It's a pride that is damaging. I'm looking at a situation right now where I'm watching someone lose everything that they have. And the more they lose, the more their pride comes up and the more control they try to take. And the more control they try to take, the more they're losing. Most incredible thing. And I thought about that, and I thought, why do people do that? And it makes a lot of sense to me. They are so centered on where they want to be that they have no flexibility in their plan. We'll try this one on. It's okay to have a plan. Just stay out of the results business. My results that end up are not mine, they're God's. Wherever he puts me, that's the right result. But I still should have that plan. But as I said, as I begin to look at that, I'm sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, there are people who get, there's a term, what is it, Machiavellian principle. It doesn't matter what it takes to get to where I'm trying to go. I'll do anything, say anything, lie, steal, cheat, whatever, as long as I get the results I want at the end. I don't want to live that way. Because every time I live that way, not only do I get hurt, but I seem to leave a trail of tears for a lot of other people. I seem to hurt a lot of other people's lives. And that's not something I'm willing to do anymore. Also, be real careful of greed as your motivator. If greed is your motivator, you're going to fail. Not maybe, if you will. Because God can't work through greed. When I was living a different kind of life, we learned first thing that kind of whatever, and I mean, the truth was, y'all know that years ago when I was a kid, I ran con, right? And the whole thing, you learn 2 things. People either react out of fear or they react out of greed. And as long as you tap into one of those, you're good. You can take everything they got because they're willing to risk it all because they're scared or because, oh yeah, I'm going to make the big time. And see, it never works out that way. So where's the best place to start with your plan? Well, let's look at page 86 in the big book. And it says, ooh, okay, I never thought about it that way. Anyway, what it usually says is it talks about upon awakening. And there we go. On awakening, let us think about the 24 hours ahead. We consider our plans for the day. Before we begin, we what? Ask God to direct our thinking. I love that. First thing it says to ask God to direct our what? Not our path, not our thinking. Because why? Because my thinking screwed up. How about yours? So we look at the next 24 hours ahead. We consider our plans for the day. Before we begin, we ask God to direct our thinking, especially asking that it may be what? Divorced from self-pity, dishonesty, or self-seeking motives. You know what the number 2 thing is I ask sponsors? What's your motive? What's your plan? What's your motive? That's because they work together. And a lot of times we don't think about that. So start with just a daily plan. You don't have to have your 5-year plan. Because I got news for you. When I got into recovery, that was not a part of my 5-year plan. Gosh, I'm going to grow up and I'm going to join Alcoholics Anonymous. That's part of my 5-year plan. You know, wasn't even my life plan. It's become my life. So just take it, what? A day at a time. Why? Why is that so good to just keep it a day at a time? Because God renews his mercy and grace how often? Every morning. Oh, what else does he do every morning upon awakening? Change my thinking. How do you change my thinking? Because you have grace and mercy and you're willing to extend that to me for the day. That's why I don't want to live in yesterday or tomorrow. Then I start living out of his grace. I'm just not willing to do that. Papa God's job, as I said before, is the results business. You let him dictate what it's going to be like. See, I have to remember that his plans for my life are greater than mine. I can't even, let me tell you something. And I bet I'm not the only one here. When I got into recovery, I never thought I would even be alive at this point in my life, much less be blessed with children and grandchildren and a life that is better than I could ever imagine. We hear that and we think it's just whatever, verbiage, but it's not. Is your life better than it was last year? Mine is. So one of the things that I always have to remember is that my thinking is so limited compared to God's that I can't even understand that he's got a plan for me. And we all know it. I say it all the time, right? Jeremiah 29:11. And what does it say? It says that he has a plan for me. To what? He has a plan for you. For you to prosper, to succeed. Not just financially or whatever, but to succeed in every area of your life. And part of his plan is for you, is not to hurt you. It's to encourage you, show you a better way. So here's the thing. When you got a plan, you're moving forward, I want to live for you, Lord. That's my plan. I want to live for you. And all of a sudden, we get a poo-poo pie thrown in front of us in life. What do we do with it? We go, it's not a big deal, Lord. I just step over it and keep moving. I'm going to keep moving in the direction that you have for me, because you know what I've learned? When stuff comes down the pike, and it was stuff that I wasn't expecting, and my favorite one is, as you guys have heard me say it before, but we were getting ready to buy a house. Everything was looking good. Right in the neighborhood I wanted, 13th hole. Buddy, I'm like, I'm in the right place. And the guy dies. And it all goes into probate. We never moved there. So we end up having to move to Peachtree Corners. That was not in my plan, but it's what was available. And it turned out to be the greatest thing that could have ever happened. You know, 2 of my kids played college ball. My goddaughter ended up in forensics because of the school she was at, and she's in that today. She's still that's what she does for a living. So I sat there and I watched everything reposition in my life to a much greater success than I ever could have imagined. That's the point. When something comes down the pike and it changes your plan, don't look at it as, there goes my plan. Start looking at it, what are you repositioning me for, Lord? You may be getting ready for your wife or husband to come into your life, and you don't even know it yet. You may be sitting there changing careers into something that you love that you never thought you would even like. You don't know what God's plan is. But here's what I know. I know that not only does he have a plan, but what makes the difference is where I'm at in the plan. Let's look at, go back to page 86. Okay. Under these conditions, we can employ our mental faculties with assurance, for after all, God gave us brains to use. He gave you common sense. Our thought life will be placed on a much higher plane when our thinking is what? Clear of wrong motives. Get the self-centeredness out of it. That's when you start seeing a change. So here it comes down to this. How can I create a plan? It's not hard. First thing I do is I pray and I talk with Papa God. And sometimes instead of begging God, because that's what I used to think prayer was, please, 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 help me, help me, help me, help me, help me. Love you, love you, love you, love you. It's like, golly, I get bored of that. Why not just say, I'm not sure where you're trying to take me, but I know you've got a plan. So why not just listen? I'm just going to shut up. And all of a sudden that still, quiet voice starts rising up. And it gets to a point where you start thinking clearly and you get your hope restored. He'll begin to put ideas in your head that you never thought of. That's how usually I know it's God. You know, it's usually one of those things that's like, wow, I've never thought about that before. That makes sense. Not only will he start to put ideas and thoughts in your head, he'll begin to show you what your heart's desire is. Let's look at Proverbs 16:3 and 16:9. Commit your actions to the Lord, and your plans will succeed. It's all yours, God. I'm going to stay out of the result business. Go ahead. We can make our plans, but the Lord determines our steps. That's what I was talking about earlier. Get your pride out of it. Because literally, if I know that all I got to do is just do the next right thing, take the next right step, keep moving where I'm supposed to, stay out of the results business, pride and greed will fall away. It'll just be him and me. See, the truth is that he's the one that will establish your plans. Matter of fact, he'll begin to show you the desires of your heart. And you'll sit there and you go, well, you know, because I've heard people say, oh, just listen to your heart. That's not what I'm saying. Because that's kind of like, you know, I have my truth and you have your truth. No, there is the truth, right? Your heart's desire becomes something you become passionate about. Like I'm passionate about working with others in whatever capacity that may be. That's become a passion of mine. That's what I'm talking about when I say listen to your heart's desire. Because here's the thing, if you're living for him, guess who put your heart's desire then? It says that he put them there. So what he's trying to do is he's trying to begin to kindle something. Learn from it. Go with it. Trust the ideas that he begins to put in your head with that. But the other thing is seek good counsel. Seek great counsel, not just good counsel. In whatever you're doing. If it's finances, talk to people who are good with their money. If you got some money, use a financial planner. If you're in debt, then talk to someone who can direct you on how to get out of debt. Right? I remember, this sounds so crazy or trite, but I remember I had nothing. And I'm like, and I knew I had to do something. I was in my 30s, and I would always collect quarters. And every time I'd get, $10 worth of quarters, I'd go buy silver. And yes, you could buy silver at that time for under $10, right? And over the years, I just did that, and I did that, and I did that, and I did that, and I do that, and I do that still. And that's not the sole way I save money anymore, but it started something. It was a connection, right? Now, here's the thing. If you were to buy, say 25 years ago, if you were to buy silver 1 or 2 ounces a week for 25 years, what would you have today? Think about that. You see, it doesn't matter what I did, I just did something. I made an action happen, believing that that it was going to pay off at some point, and it has. So here's the thing. I've had people who've worked for me before, and I'll literally ask them. I'll say, do you want me to pay you in cash or in silver? And I've had some people go, you know what? I need to work on my retirement. I'll take silver. God will provide in ways that you never thought it even possible. But I remember this, when I started building businesses and that kind of thing, I remember I used to go down to Triangle Club downtown, right, for the noon meeting, the tri-noon meeting. And one of the things I started realizing was how many of these retired, successful executives were down there. So guess what I did? 2 or 3 times a week, I would sit there and go, hey, can I take you to lunch? And I would take them and I would sit there and go, I've got this going on in my company. I'm not real sure what to do. And they'd go, well, when I had that happen, I did this. I'm thinking, buddy, $20 lunch is a whole lot cheaper than a $200 an hour consultant. And these people they literally would come to me later on and go, how'd that work out for you? They took an interest. So that God puts all these different people around you all the time. And we just don't even realize the resources that God himself has given us. Sometimes you just have to say, Lord, show me. Whatever you want me to see today, show it to me. Help me find those people that I need to find. But here's the thing. If it's recovery, then guess what? Use a mentor or a sponsor. Not hard. Start by what? Being accountable. Man, there's some things that I've had to go to my sponsor with, even lately, was not comfortable. Y'all know what I mean? But I went anyways. Why? Because you see, there's a part of me that wants recovery so bad that I'm willing to, quote unquote, bare my soul in front of the people that I need to, no matter what. No matter what they think about me or anything else. If you're trying to grow spiritually, well, guess what? Go hang with people who are having a relationship with God, not people that I'm very spiritual. Oh, I usually run when I hear that. I want to hear people say, man, I just love God. I love Papa God himself. I love Jesus. I have a relationship. I love my time. That's who I want to hang out with. Read your word every day. Talk to your pastor. And be willing to share honestly what's going on. But here's the biggest one that, as a pastor, is sometimes the hardest thing in the world, is that people want to tell you what the issue is, but they don't want to listen to the solution. See, most people have a preconceived idea of what they want to hear, not the truth. And you can shut a pastor down real quick. Ain't hard. All you got to do is come to me or Pastor Bob and tell us one thing. God said, we're done. God told you. What more? Then why are you talking to me? Be willing to accept what's real. Sitting there saying, I had someone not too long ago in the church they were giving money across the ocean to a particular young lady they were going to bring to the U.S. And you know the deal, right? And I'm like, I don't know. I wanted to be compassionate and everything, but sometimes I'm not. And I go, let me guess. They need you to send money for the attorneys to go ahead and put everything together. Well, yes. It's a scam, dude. You're getting ripped off. And you don't have enough money to lose it. Stop. Wow, that's kind of harsh. Maybe it is, but I love you so much that I don't want to see you get used. Know the cost, right? I'm looking at a few people I sponsor here. How many times you heard me say that? Know the cost and be willing to pay it, right? That's it. I don't care what you do as long as you know what the cost is and you're willing to pay the price. You see, most of us really don't want to look at the price because we're not willing to pay it. Again, like relationships I've been in, right? Because I had those two-legged higher powers. And it'd be like, I know God, this isn't the one, and I don't really need to waste my time. But man, it's going to be fun until it ain't. And I got news. Relationships are not supposed to end with paperwork. TPOs, divorce papers, separate. Those things aren't supposed to exist in a good relationship. But here's the thing. If you really want to be successful in your life, it's going to cost you friends and family. See, in recovery, they're not going to respect your boundaries. They just won't. I love those people. God bless them. I do love them who come to me and go, you mean you can't have a beer every once in a while? Right? No, I'm not the only one. You know, I mean, you can take a hit, right? Just one. I mean, it's okay, right? Or how about this one? How much longer are you going to go to those classes? I actually had a family member ask me that. And I said, well, they were like, you know, those AAA classes. And I was like, well, I like those AAA classes because we're going to learn how to tow this week. You know, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's like, they don't care, man. They're not going to respect that. But here's the thing. I had to respect myself and love myself enough to do what? Get rid of old playgrounds and old playmates. Well, sometimes we think that's when I was using. No, that's because I've grown even in recovery. You've grown in recovery. Sometimes you got to walk away from some people that have been friends even in recovery because they're not healthy. But how about spiritually, man, really getting down spiritually? People will try to pull you down to their level every time. Every time. There are times I have to walk away from certain conversations because I don't have conversations like that anymore. Used to, but I can't afford those today. You see, really the truth, what they're really trying to do is they're actually trying to get you to buy into the excuse of why they're not living a godly life. If I'm willing to do what they're doing, then I'm telling them it's all okay. You guys can come up. The thing is, you have to be willing to hold yourself to a higher standard. See, Papa God has the plan. But what I have to learn to do is line my plan up with his. And here's the crazy thing. If I do that, I'll never fail. Because he's not going to set you up to knock you down. You know what's so unfortunate is how many people think that God himself slaps people down. Would you slap your child? I wouldn't. So do I really believe that my Heavenly Father wants to sit there and say, you're an idiot for thinking that is a plan? Boom. Instead, he says, man, I love you so much, I may throw a little something this way or a little something that way to kind of get you to move a little this direction, a little that direction. Because you see, it doesn't matter how far away we walk away from his plan. At the end of the day, he always brings us back if we love him. If we have a love in our heart to honor him, and we don't want to sit there and run everything on our own self-centered desires, he says, I will line you up in such a way that you're going to succeed. I'm not here to make you fail. I don't want to see you fail. I want to see you achieve the best you can. Because you know what? I'm going to have an eternal relationship with you. And it starts here. That's the God that I understand.
Let's stand once more and sing to him tonight, y'all. Blessed assurance, Jesus is mine. And he's been my fourth man in the fire, time after time. Born of his Spirit, washed in his blood, and what he did for me on Calvary is more than enough. And I trust in God, my Savior, the one who will never fail. He will never fail. Born of his Spirit, washed in his blood. He did for me on Calvary is more than enough. Oh, so this is my story, and this is my song. I'm praising my risen King and Savior all the day long. I trust in God, my Savior, who will never fail. He will never fail. I trust in God, my Savior, who will never fail. He will never fail. And I sought the Lord, and He heard, and He answered. I sought the Lord, and He heard, and He answered. I sought the Lord, and He heard, and He answered. That's why I trust Him. That's why I trust Him. I sought the Lord, and He heard, and He answered. I sought the Lord, and He heard, and He answered. I sought the Lord, and He heard, and He answered. That's why I trust Him. That's why I trust in God, my Savior, who will never fail. He will never fail. I trust in God, my Savior, who will never fail. He will never fail. I sought the Lord, I sought the Lord, I sought the Lord, and He heard, and He answered. I sought the Lord, and He heard, and He answered. That's why I trust Him. That's why I trust Him. I sought the Lord, and He heard, and He answered. And He heard, and He answered. I sought the Lord, and He heard, and He answered. That's why I trust Him. That's why I trust in God, my Savior, who will never fail. He will never fail. I trust in God, my Savior, who will never fail. He will never fail. I trust in God, my Savior, the one who will never fail. He will never fail. I trust in God.
And that is the only one that we can trust. Awesome. Jeff, who is the only one that can give us the ultimate plan?
Our Father,
Who art in heaven. Hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us away from temptation. Deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever and ever. Amen.
Amen.